Hi, thank you for watching Digging to China. I'm Dong Xiong. Over the past few months, China's People's Liberation Army has gradually increased its troop presence to at least 50,000, up from about 15,000 at this time last year, according to Indian intelligence and military officials. Those moves have been matched by India, which has sent tens of thousands of its own troops and advanced artillery to the region, the officials said. Wall Street Journal and Bloomburg reported. Much of the military buildup has occurred in eastern Ladakh, a region that overlaps with Kashmir and Tibet. The deadliest confrontation between the two countries in decades occurred there in June 2020 in the Galwan Valley, where 20 Indian and 4 Chinese soldiers were killed. Chinese security forces, which usually go to the Tibet Autonomous Region for annual summer training under the PLA's Western Theater Command, recently participated in high-altitude drills focused on combat with sophisticated weapons. Indian officials said they fear that China is using the drill this year as a cover to move more troops to the region permanently. China has moved advanced surface-to-air missiles to the region, the official said, including its HQ-9 system, which is similar to Russia's S-300 and America's Patriot anti-missile batteries. The country's army has built hundreds of new structures to support troops at military encampments at the town of Ladakh, in Tibet's Ladakh frontier, and the Kangxi Wall, which is north of plateau controlled by China, known as Aksa Ching, that connects Tibet with the Xinjiang region. China has dug underground bunkers and tunnels and built small hydroelectric power stations and solar panels, the officials said. They have installed portable cabins and huts for troops, helipads, and field hospitals. At the Ladakh camp, about 20 permanent and temporary camps have been set up to house 15,000 to 18,000 troops, the Indian officials said. Previously, the camp's capacity was limited to about 5,000. A spokesman for China's foreign ministry said the situation on the border is stable and controllable, and that the two countries were preparing for another round of military talks to help ease the tension. The spokesman said, quote, "China believes that any arms race and infrastructure construction aimed at military control are not conducive to the maintenance of peace and tranquility in the borders area." India has been making its own push to fortify its positions, building roads, tunnels, and insulated facilities to house its troops through the winter. India has also been boosting the ability of its air force to patrol the border. Last September, its Air Force created a squadron of 18 jet fighters based in Ambala, a city in the northern state of Haryana. Some of the jet fighters have been deployed for sorties in eastern Ladakh. India's Air Force is planning a second squadron in the state of West Bengal at the Hasimara Air Base, near another contested area of the border. The Indian Navy is also taking action, putting more warships along key sea lanes for longer durations. Its efforts include studying energy and trade flows in and out of China, according to an Indian Navy official who asked not to be identified. Although both countries battled in the Himalayas in 1962, India's strategic focus has primarily been Pakistan since the British left the subcontinent, with the long-time rivals fighting 3 wars over the disputed region of Kashmir. Yet, since the deadliest Indian-China fighting in decades last year, Prime Minister Modi's administration has sought to ease tensions with Islamabad and concentrate primarily on countering Beijing. The shift comes as the pandemic ravages India's hinterland and the economy contracts by the worst in 4 decades, leaving less money for defense. At the same time, India is stepping up security cooperation with fellow Quad partners, the US, Japan, and Australia, to gain leverage against China. China and India have never settled on an actual border. The two countries are separated along their 2,000 miles border by a vague demarcation line known as the Line of Actual Control. Generally, India sees its control extending to where the Chinese withdrew at the end of 1962 war between the two countries. China sees its control extending to what Chinese troops held in 1959 before the war. In the east, China continues to claim what India considers a full-fledged state, Arunachal Pradesh, and in the west, the Aksai Chin Plateau. The two countries have at times kept rules in place in an effort to keep border skirmishes between troops from escalating. Troops stationed at the border were prohibited from carrying guns, for example. The rule was changed last year to give commanders at the ground more flexibility to make decisions. After the brutal clash in June, when troops fought each other with batons and clubs wrapped in barbed wire, in hand-to-hand combat, some soldiers fell off cliffs into a river. The latest buildup risks triggering further clashes between the countries as their troops jockey for positions. India's construction of a road to an airport was a contributing factor to last year's deadly clash. After it was built, Chinese troops began occupying part of the Galwan Valley to gain access to peaks overlooking the new road. India and China have held about a dozen rounds of talks between military and diplomatic officials since the confrontation last year in an effort to de-escalate tensions. Those talks led to the pullback of troops from both sides at one friction point at the Pangong Tsao, a glacial lake at an altitude of about 14,000 feet. Nonetheless, troops have remained stationed at the bases that can reach the front line in a matter of hours. The recent buildup shows that the talks have done little to ease the broader tensions between the two nuclear-armed countries or limit the risk of further clashes. The military positioning on the ground also factors into each side's hand in future talks. Expert says China is reminding India that this dispute is unlikely to be settled purely through dialogue. India will need to bring bargaining chips to the dialogue like it did in 2020 by occupying strategic heights and showing China it will not shy away from combat. Sushant Singh is a senior fellow at the Center for Policy Research and a visiting lecturer at Yale University. She said, "The crisis over the last year has brought home the reality to India's decision makers that China presents the biggest strategic challenge in the future, and it has led to shifting the attention away from Pakistan. As this plays out fully, it will alter the geopolitics of the region significantly." Still, despite India's strategic shift and the troop movement, China retains an advantage along the border. There is a long way to go for India to bridge the economic and military asymmetry. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. Just click the subscribe button right here. I'll see you again shortly.